In 1962, Congress passed a joint resolution proclaiming the week of May 15th as National Police Week. The National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial, located here in Washington, D.C., is our country's monument to these fallen officers. Carved into the marble walls of the memorial are the names of more than 20,000 officers killed in the line of duty throughout our nation's history. Every year, tens of thousands of fellow officers from around the world come to Washington, D.C. as part of Police Week to pay tribute to the men and women whose names are inscribed on this wall. The planned events surrounding Police Week began with the 36th Annual National Peace Officers Memorial Service held on the west front of the U.S. Capitol. The President of the United States was the keynote speaker, and his presence was a testament to the fraternity of this noble profession. Immediately following the service, there was a wreath laying at the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial. The annual memorial service is an opportunity for all Americans to reflect on the dedication of these public servants and the ultimate sacrifice they have paid for this great nation. We should also acknowledge the families of the fallen, whose lives have been forever changed by the loss of their loved ones. During the memorial service, there was a roll call of heroes for the 143 law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty during last year. Their names will adorn the memorial walls in perpetuity. The list of the fallen include 5 of my fellow Iowans: Sergeant Anthony Davis Beminio of Des Moines Police Department, Officer Susan Louise Farrell of the Des Moines Police Department, Justin Scott Martin of Urbandale Patrolman Police Department, Sergeant Sean Glenn Miller of West Des Moines Police Department, and Officers Carlos Bernabe Puente Morales of Des Moines Police Department. We honor these great heroes for laying down their lives to protect their communities in Iowa. There is no year in recent memory in which so many Iowans have lost their lives in the line of duty. I would like to specifically address the ambush of, and it was an ambush-style killing for Senator Bernino and Officer Martin. These officers were heinously murdered by the same perpetrator on the same night while they sat in their patrol cars. While the exact motive of the killer is unknown, he nevertheless sought out these brave men and gunned them down in cold blood. These ambush-style attacks have become more prevalent since the incidents in Dallas, Texas, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, spanning 10 days last July. According to a report by the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund, there were a total of 21 officers killed in ambush-style attacks just last year, the highest total in 2 decades. There has been much vitriol written and directed towards law enforcement over the last few years. The notion that the actions of a few bad individuals implicate the entire profession may unfortunately endanger public servants still in the area of law enforcement. This sort of rush to judgment against all law enforcement officers ought to end and end right now. The men and women of law enforcement make great sacrifices every day to protect our families and, of course, all of our fellow citizens. They do so freely, not out of a sense of obligation, but because they are dedicated to the cause of justice. Their devotion merits our attention, admiration, and we're deeply indebted to them. This is why today I introduced a bipartisan resolution to commemorate Police Week and honor those who have given their lives in this pursuit. I want to thank my colleagues in the Senate who have co-sponsored this resolution with me. I call on all Americans to remember the fallen and pay tribute to the sacrifices they have made. To quote the motto of the Fraternal Order of Police Auxiliary, never let them walk alone. I hope that during Police Week, the Senate will pass my legislation to reform the operations of the Public Safety Officers Benefit Program. Delays in the award of benefits to the families of fallen officers have become intolerable, and those families deserve to know the status of their applications during the process. In addition, the Judiciary Committee has reported 2 other bills that I hope the Senate will take up during Police Week. One bill sets standards for the use of a new form of DNA evidence. The second makes an allowable use of COPS grants for recruiting and promoting of military veterans as police officers. Finally, during Police Week, my Judiciary Committee will report a bill that is designed to provide mental health services to police officers who live through and with the enormous stress as they work to protect us. So, Mr. President, I'm pleased to join with my colleagues in saluting the service of our law enforcement officers during Police Week.